talk to you about speed. Now, I don't mean like crystal meth or anything like that. No, I mean physical speed. Now, the basic measurement that we have is that the human nervous system and the eventual physical response takes about a quarter of a second to respond to a stimulus and begin action. Well, a quarter of a second doesn't sound like a whole lot of time, but I want you to start thinking of how fast things can actually move. You realize that bull riding, 8 seconds. There's a lot of movement in a bull in 8 seconds. But more than that, we have contests for world's fastest punching. We have contests for world's quickest draw, quickest shot, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the world's quickest shot slowed down. I mean, you don't even see him barely flinch. It looks like he just tilts his pelvis and shoots the gun from the holster. But when you slow down the video, he actually drew it, shoots from the hip, and puts it back in the holster before you can even see that that he moved the gun, and he hits his target. But we have some video of, and I don't know if this is the most current one. You can just search around on YouTube for world's fastest punch, Guinness Book World Records, whatever. They did a test for 1 minute. 2 guys competing against each other for a title of world's fastest puncher. And what they did was accumulate number of hits inside of 1 minute to give that title. Now, both guys were incredibly fast, and they were only within like 60 punches of each other. Each threw hundreds of punches in 1 minute. But if the average human reaction is a quarter of a second, that means, technically speaking, the average person should be able to punch pretty damn close to 4 times a second. Well, it turns out that the average, I did out the average, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I did out the average, and it turns out the faster puncher, who's actually a Wing Chun guy, which makes me happy, was throwing punches, and they were really only half extension punches. I mean, his punches were literally just right here, little ones, not full extension. But that, regardless, the fact is that he clocked in, and they were looked at by experts and considered acceptable punches, and he clocked in at just over 7 punches a second for his average. Now, knowing what I know about the human body and our glycogen response and all that, after the first 30 seconds of activity, our glycogen is pretty much gone. Well, high intensity, all out effort, and because you're going for fastest, it's definitely all out effort, right? So after the first 30 seconds, there should have been a marked reduction in speed, which means likely at the beginning he was punching 8 or 9 times per second. That's pretty damn fast. Now, just like a cheetah, you can't keep up that high energy for a long period of time. You're going to burn out. But the way I figure, timing, leverage, strategy, all these things matter so much more than speed. Speed is important, but it's less important than proper timing and structure and leverage and your general strategy, confusing the opponent, making your opponent multitask, things like that. Much more important. But at the same time, if the average person can move a simple lightweight maneuver like a punch at about 4 times per second, we're talking basic straight punches, then you should be shooting for more than that. Yeah, maybe you can't get up to 8 per second. I'm gonna try. I think you should try too. I mean, fuck, who cares if you can't? Try it anyway. But I was noticing tonight when I was doing some chain punching, I was counting my punches in my head, and we were doing Tabata sets of chain punching, and as I was counting my punches, I realized that I was doing about 6 per second, which I'm pretty proud of. I don't know how long I could keep it up, but 6 per second I'm pretty proud of. Now, could I do that over a minute? I don't know. And that would make me fall pretty short of the world record. But I'm going to keep trying. I don't care about the record. I don't care about that at all. But it's something to aspire to. And so here's what I want you to do. Here's your homework. Use Tabata sets. Use 20-second rounds, 10 seconds rest. Now, I mean, if you're really wanting to work on speed and everything, give your nervous system time to recover between. Don't do 10 seconds rest. Do like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes rest. Up to 5 minutes rest, honestly. If you really want to get the most bang for your buck out of really, really building the speed and power out of it. And what I want you to do is first track down somebody who can keep time for you, because it's a pain in the ass to try to click a timer and start punching at the same time unless there's a countdown on it, which some apps for your phone can do that, and some more advanced timers have a countdown on it as well. But get into a comfortable stance, and I'm gonna say pick 1 of 3 punches. Now you could pick the Wing Chun chain punch. We covered this before. Comes straight out from the chest, and as your elbow sinks, bringing it back, your hand will also sink as well, making room for the next one. So, and that one honestly is going to be your fastest option for the punch. You're not, with the chain punch, you're not throwing a lot of hips into it, because the idea of the chain punch is repeated punches, which means, especially at the speeds we're going, you're not going to have a lot of time for hip torque, which does necessarily make them less powerful in this particular instance. The method of punching on the center line, you can still throw in hip power. We call it yuma in Chinese. You can still throw in yuma in single punches or in smaller combinations, but for just pure chain punching, don't worry about the hip movement. Now you can throw boxing style. This is your second option. Throw it from here. Same thing. Yeah, you're going to get a little more shoulder action, but I still think you can. Work up to 6, 7 punches a second on that. Last one I'll say would be karate punching, which is coming from the waist. I know you can't see that, but they chamber their hands by the waist and they're punching about chest level. That's probably going to be your slowest option. Might even be the best one to train, because it's bringing you from a more natural position of punching. So you got to realize in a real situation, you're probably not going to be able to get your hands up into a fighting stance. You're probably going to be hands down talking to somebody, get blindsided by something, and have to retaliate. So from a hands down position is more reasonable, real life style. So having your hands from your waist may be the better way to train for speed punches. I would say train them all. I really would. I would say train them all. But you are going to definitely be faster with the chain punching. But make sure that you're not doing this. Okay? That doesn't count. We can go really fast doing that. It doesn't count. That's not a punch. At the very least, short chain power. Boom. And just at least get, to like 135-degree extension. Something like that, okay? Boxing punches, you're not really gonna be able to get away with anything less. Your guard is here at the farthest. You've got about a 90-degree angle in your elbow, so you're pretty close in, and you're extending out. Don't extend out to lock and hurt your elbows, but you're extending out pretty far. So if you're coming in here, just remember to keep your hip and shoulder motion short, because honestly the smaller your movements, the better. Wow, Kitten just decided to shake the camera. She's so little. All right. Thank you. And then of course the karate punches. Karate punching it's two-way energy, and there is a lot of hip in it. Now for the speed punching, once again, you can reduce the movement in the hips, you can reduce the movement in the shoulders, but only to the degree to which it still remains effective. Because it doesn't do you any good to practice shitty punches for speed. Practice good punches and work your way up. And I say use Tabata sets, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, or do use the 20 seconds on with longer rest period, and then only do 8 to 10 sets. Tabata protocol strictly is 8, but just in general 8 to 10 sets of those at any given time, and work your way up. Keep track of how many you're doing, and it would be nice if you have somebody holding a timer or keeping the clock for you, have them count too, or videotape it and count afterwards, and work your way up to try to get one more punch the next time, one more punch the next time, until you start topping out and you start plateauing, because you will, and see how far you can progress. You start getting up into 6, 7, 8 punches a second, you're doing pretty damn good. Most other movements are going to be quite a bit slower because of either circular motion or heavier limbs or whatever. Punch is really going to be your fastest strike. So give it a shot, give it a go, and I've already babbled on for way too long, so I'll talk to you guys next time. Good journey.